Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. My guest today is Grandy Van Lo. He is a podcast host of two really cool podcasts. The first is Beer Fish Fanatics, which is his podcast about fishing, which is his passion in life. He's been doing it for over 30 years now. And his other podcast is Unfiltered Mop Pop Passage. Awesome podcast. I actually was lucky enough to be on it last week relative to the time of recording. I'm not sure when it's going live, but such a great environment. It's very casual. Really enjoyed myself on it, and I think you guys would enjoy listening to it too if you like this podcast. He is the president of Grandy Van of Mop Pop Fishing. He's the president of Mop Pop Fishing, not the president of himself. And that's his store online where he sells custom fishing merchandise and products. And we'll talk more about that today as well. Without any more rambling, Grandy, thank you so much for being with me today. I'm super excited to have you on the show.
Hey, I'm super excited. Also, Max, we spoke a couple times before, and we had my episode and everything. So I'm pretty excited, man. I'm relax a little bit. I don't have the pressure. You got the pressure today, so.
I'm excited. How's business going?
It's actually going really good. Busy right now because ice season's coming up and everything. So we have everything's prepping up for that. So I have a lot of customers. Wanting specific items, stuff like that, and obviously fall bite. It's pretty cool because my business in regards to that, it's year round. So we do open water and ice fishing season. So, which is a good thing. So it doesn't really stop, towards the winter time. So which is a good thing. And then with COVID and everything, what else is people got to do? I mean, in a way, everybody's kind of out there fishing. So I mean, that's a good thing, I guess. For
how long have you been running that business? We're talking about your e-commerce business right now, right?
Yeah. We're talking about the e-commerce business. I literally started that. It didn't go live until the beginning of this year, but it's been in the background, been working on in regards to networking, vendors. I've been doing all the legwork and everything, probably the past year and a half, 2 years. But I finally, as any other entrepreneur, any small business owner, sometimes it's never a good time to win this. It's never a good time to launch except for now. So I guess you could say, right, in a way. It's just because I was
going to say there's never a good time, but there's definitely right before COVID.
Yeah. Well, that was the crazy thing was, I started this whole thing and, obviously we had no idea how COVID was going to be here, a year or 2 years ago. But in a way, I did see, the future, everything's going online. I think it's just the way it's going to be now. So, but
absolutely. Yeah. So how did you launch? You put the website up, you got your products, you got your vendors all sorted out, but what was your go-to-market strategy? How did you get your first customers?
I been in the industry because I helped one of my buddies. He's actually one of my vendors, and I actually helped him start his business and everything in regards to custom ice fishing rods. And then he expanded to custom fishing lures. So I kind of knew what it entailed in regards to the industry. And I had a niche in regards to that, a door, I guess you can say a foot in the door. And in regards to getting customer base and everything, it's just like anything else. I've done sales for almost 20 odd years, and it's one of those things where this day and age, it's social media, man. At the end of the day, social media it's where it's at in regards to marketing. So I would say a majority of that has been, I would say two things: by word, by mouth, obviously, and also the quality of products, and then social media. I would say that would be the majority of where I'm getting a lot of my business and everything, leads and everything like that. But as long as you have good vendors, which I do, I believe they have great products. It sells itself in a way. So I'm just kind of the middle guy in regards to that. Sure. But I help give them a voice. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Do you, when you say social media, is it all organic strategy, you're just posting it and letting it grow organically, or is it more like you're using paid advertising strategies to drive targeted traffic towards landing pages?
It's still a work in progress in regards to the paid side. I tried that before. Sure. I'm not great at that yet. It's one of those things
super tough.
It is. It's because you have to know number one, you got to know the audience. Number two, you got to know the demographic, the location where, it's one of those things right now. If I do that, it would just be literally throwing a dart on the board and I hope it works type of thing. But I'm doing it organically now because I tried the paid stuff. It's just like I said, it was just throwing darts. So now I'm doing the organic stuff to kind of see, honestly, what I'm looking for is the comments or the response to see which area am I getting better response, nationwide, worldwide. I'm just kind of getting an idea of, okay, who's actually looking at the stuff that I'm posting? Who's actually interested, liking the stuff? Who's actually who could use the stuff? So before I can really target that, at least that audience, that's my thinking now. Before I start, really diving into the paid, advertising or marketing in regards to social media. So organic at the moment. So we'll see how that goes.
It makes sense. And I imagine the podcast plays a role in that strategy as well.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that is the podcast that I do is the Beer Fish Fanatics. It was something that I launched pretty much the same time as the e-commerce business, and I had this idea was that, I mean, what better way to market fishing than a podcast? I already had a feeling that podcasting is going to be the future of any business. In my opinion, it's going to be the future in any realm, I guess you can say, and I wanted to do something fun, but then on top of that, I wanted to do something that was going to be beneficial to the audience. So number one is fun. It's talking about beer, craft beer. Just me and my buddies, and we have amazing guests. I mean, our guests that we've lined up and that we've had and are going to have, I mean, they're like top-notch YouTubers or top-notch fishing people on YouTube. It's pretty cool. I was surprised to even land them. You know what I'm saying? So, and then they bring their fishing knowledge. So I'm hoping that kind of, goes and tails to help my business. That, oh, wow, he's got a podcast on top of that. It's kind of, cool and fun, informative.
Totally.
And then it's part of that small business aspect in the business of mop pop fishing. So
I think so. I love what you just said. So I love that you are targeting like these big YouTubers in your niche and trying to get them on your podcast, and you've got them lined up. How does someone go about doing that? Like, I just started my podcast, and I'm considering approaching some bigger names too. And then like, also, I imagine that this doesn't just apply to me. I think there's a lot of people who would want to start a podcast that are maybe afraid or intimidated about asking guests to come on their podcast before they have an audience. I'm sure you've been there mentally as well. Can you talk me through kind of that process?
Yeah, and if anybody's looking to start a business or has a business, start a podcast right now. I tell you guys, right, don't miss the boat. So that's number one. So everybody who's thinking about it, if you're already thinking about it, do it like as quickly as possible, and you can get better, obviously, as you go along. In regards to getting, the high end, I guess, quality guests, it's sales, man. It's a hustle. I mean, it's always a numbers game. At the end of the day, if you're afraid to ask somebody to, come on, so this is the thing. You're going to ask somebody who is an expert in your industry that you're interested in. So most likely they want to talk about themselves. Everybody wants to talk about themselves. Just reach out to them. Worst case scenario, the two things: either they say no or they ignore you. Okay, so
Fair
reach
enough.
out
like everything else.
Yeah, just like everything else. So reach out to them, as many of them as you can, whether it's through Instagram, direct message, Facebook message, emails. You just got to do the research to see what's the best way to contact these people, because they're busy. You're talking about people who have 50, 100,000 subscribers, million followers, or whatever the case may be. They're not going to answer everything, but if you can find a way to, you can even tag them. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have Instagram page, maybe tag them. Like, hey, would love to have you on our show here to, bring your knowledge, bring your expertise. Start small if you want. If you want to start local, to build up and that's what I would actually recommend too, is maybe get a guest who's local, who knows a little bit about whatever your niche may be. That way you get better in regards to talking and asking questions. So then when you do have the big guest that comes on, you're not nervous. You kind of know what you're doing. You already had it done. You already done it a little bit. So I recommend that. But don't be afraid to ask, because worst case scenario, they either say no or they ignore you, and it's a numbers game. And just keep grinding. I mean, that's just all I can say. And then the funny thing is, by doing what I just told you what I did, I literally start getting guests who are asking to jump on in the fishing industry, or they want to jump on, because it helps promote them in a way. And the kind of, and then, my podcast, the Beer Fish Fanatics, it's really fun. If anybody get a chance to listen to it, I mean, it's nothing like that, because there's tons of fishing podcasts. There's ton of beer podcast. There's nothing combined. And we kind of did that, and we kind of just like, and we're really just making it just be ourselves. That's the biggest thing too. Podcasting, you got to be yourself, man.
That's one of my favorite things about you. Like, you found the thing that you're passionate about, which is like fishing and beer and just like that kind of lifestyle, and you've created a business that allows you to be yourself professionally. I think that's like one of the most attractive ways to live life that I'm aware of. So that's so cool. And I think one of the things that enables you to do it is the fact that it does have that intersection, right? It, you know, when you combine more than one thing that you're interested in into one intersection, suddenly all these other people that resonate with that intersection resonate with your podcast. Which brings me to one of my next questions. So why do you choose to break your podcast into two podcasts, right? So you have, not break it, they're two separate entities. But you know, you have your business podcast and you have your Beer Fish Fanatics. Why not Beer Fish Fanatics and business?
Great question. The reason being because the Beer Fish Fanatics, I really wanted to tailor towards my mop pop fishing and just the fishing industry. I mean, well, we have craft beer businesses here and there, you know, come and join in people, but it's not really tailored towards entrepreneurs or business aspect. It's really more informational to help people get better at fishing, learn more stuff, and also be entertained at the same time. My other podcast, which is Unfiltered Mop Pop Passage, and I started that one a little bit after, and because I got the podcast bug, I guess you can say. Once and you know how it feels, because once you start once you get that first episode, 2 episode recording, it's just like, man, this is fun, but yet at the same time it's educational, it's informative. And then when I started doing that on the Beer Fish Fanatic, I was like, and then I starting my business at the same time, I was just like, man, wouldn't it be kind of cool to be able to tell other entrepreneurs' stories in different industries, not just a random entrepreneur who says, I do this, I'm you know, whatever the case, but actually have an industry that they're in, totally different though, because I wanted to do different industries. And it, in my opinion, it was for me. At the beginning, my goal was, okay, I can learn from them, you know, because they've done the same thing I did, different industry, but this is still the same format in regards to running your own business. So I was picking up tidbits from everybody that I was meeting with, talking to, and I was like, I figured if I do this, other people can probably listen to a podcast or an episode and become better in regards to owning their small business or become a better entrepreneur. So, and that's why I separated that one. And that one's completely uncensored. There's no filter on that one. And that one's definitely not meant for kids, obviously. But the Beer Fish Fanatics, kids can listen because we actually, my co-host and I actually filter out any swear words or anything like that in case kids ever want to get in, because we want them to get into the fishing. So, and that's why I had two separate ones, and it gets
that
chaotic.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and it gets chaotic. Don't get me wrong. I have 4 kids. I have a wife. I have another full-time job. I actually do too. So, and I have to do those two. Yeah, it's insane.
Wild.
Yeah.
So what do you think about working in the fishing industry? Do you think it's an industry that's growing? Is it? I know nothing about it. Like, I grew up in the desert in Las Vegas. There's no fishing, or if there is, I don't know about it. So is there? What do you think about the industry? Is it doing well? Is it doing poorly?
Okay, so it depends on if the fishing industry, I would say, as it in regards to product wise, it's growing. You're seeing a huge amount of custom fishing businesses. A bunch of people are jumping in because it's their side thing. A lot of the times you see these guys or these gals start this custom fishing lure for whatever it is, just a side business out of their garage, and it is growing. I mean, it's just growing astronomically, honestly, what I see. And then what I also see is, it's pretty intense, actually. And the cool thing is, it's not really cutthroat. And when I say that, it's not, there's so much of the pie out there. And I really see all these people are just hustling, grinding, just doing, making their product because they love it. This is the thing, though. A lot of these people started in this, fishing industries because they love it and they create their own lures. And then next thing you know, people love it. They come and buy it. Same thing with the custom, fishing poles. So I see that industry, honestly, is going to keep growing. I think it's going to keep expanding. I think because you can always use more fishing lures. So that's the cool thing. And and technology will always keep growing on that. Now, what I've also seen a huge influx is fishing. Like, you go to YouTube, if you look up a bunch of these fishing people who literally start their own business. They are entrepreneurs. I say that honestly is because you go look at their YouTube channel, they may have like 50,000 subs or 100,000, or even some are up into the millions now, the bigger ones. Okay. And they literally have created their own brand by fishing. They just film themselves fishing. And a lot of the times they film themselves fishing and they build up the following because people love to live, through YouTube, as we all know.
Vicariously, yeah.
Exactly. So, and what I've seen a lot of these successful YouTubers do is they have created a business out of it. Everything from marketing their own products now. So I've seen these guys who started maybe 2 years ago on YouTube, had like maybe 100 for followers at best, and now they're close to a couple 100,000 followers. They literally have created their own line of fishing stuff. Talking to other businesses. So I don't see that actually going at all in regards to going away. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is anything like that YouTube marketing that you were just describing? Is anything like that on the radar for you? Is it something you're already doing? I just didn't see it. Or do you think that you will have that'll be a campaign for you at some point?
I mean, My Pot Fishing, we do have a YouTube channel. At first, I was carrying the podcast on that channel because we do a video version of it too.
That's what I'm doing too.
But I decided. Yeah, but I kind of decided because I have a co-host that helps me with that. He has his own YouTube channel in regards to just fishing, because that's all he does is fishing. And he's already built it up from zero to he's almost got 1,000 followers on that one. So we're putting our podcast on that one now. And then what I'm doing on my YouTube channel is that I'm doing more specific to my vendors. So I do interviews, I do product demonstration, I do product description and everything, and then just product comparisons here and there on my YouTube channel. So it's not like I'm out there fishing, but it's to help market my vendors and Mop Pot Fishing too, obviously. But all the sales that I tell everybody, all the sales that I get, right now at the moment, everything goes back into my vendors, whether it's inventory or to help them market themselves. Because I think we had a conversation before. I really believe that small businesses is going to be is going to grow, and I want to be able to be there to help them.
Absolutely. So do you actually hold inventory, or are you drop shipping from these vendors?
I hold inventory. And that's the cool thing about fishing is that the inventory is small. You know what I'm saying? Like fishing lures.
Oh, really?
I don't need a warehouse. I mean, at the end of the day, because when you look at the fishing, custom fishing lures, they're super, super and that's the reason why I wanted to start this too. Because there was other businesses, other industries that I was thinking about, but then like you were saying, either I would have to drop ship, or I would have a warehouse to store, all the inventory, and then that's just more cost. And then this is, like I said, before COVID. So just imagine if I would have done something like that, I would have shot myself in the foot. You know what I mean?
You were smart to keep it lean.
Yeah, and that was the whole point. And then I was just thinking, and at the end of the day, the custom fishing lures and everything, like I said, I keep it in my location at my house. You know what I mean? And they're smaller, and I can make. But then I like to keep the inventory because that way I can ship it as soon as it's ordered. There's no delay in regards to drop shipping and all that stuff. So, and that's kind of what I wanted also. So.
What's on your radar for the next year or so? I know you really just started this business, and it's so cool that you're having such great initial success. Like, what's next for you? Like, where are you headed with this? Are you just kind of playing it by ear? Or do you have specific services that you want to, or products that you want to introduce later on? What's on your agenda?
I want to build the brand. So right now, I'm getting well known down, because I'm in central Iowa. I have a pretty decent following out there in Colorado area too now, and I'm slowly building. Yeah, and I'm slowly building. So my vision is, I hope. Okay, so this year, the first year, I just want to get the name out, the brand out. I'm not even looking at numbers or anything at the end of the day because that's not even my goal. So I'm not worried about that. I have my specific goals that I want to be able to help my vendors build their business to the point where they are full time. So when I say that they do full time their stuff versus just doing it in their base, as a hobby. So I want that's my actual initial goal. I don't know how long that will take, 5-10 years, whatever the case is, so I can help build their brand. And then I would love to be able to. I mean, I can ship nationwide, but I would love to have a presence in every 50 states. If that makes sense, because right now, I think the last time I look, I'm close to about 20 states that I've sold products to or whatnot. I
Hmm.
think, yeah, I definitely want to. I would say within like 2 years, my goal would be to have products shipped to all 50 states. So that means I have some type of presence, some type of vision that people can see. You know what I mean? Visibility that they see my pop fishing. They're like, if I can get into 50 states, at least that would be my goal at the moment for the first 2 years.
So maybe this is a complicated question because you're not a manufacturer, right? You're essentially a retailer for these other vendors. You can correct me if I'm wrong. I know you do have your own merch on your site, but in general, that's correct, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
distribute all their stuff. And yeah, I mean, because these guys, all my vendors, they create their own. So, I mean, this is stuff that they make in their, basement or garage and then people just love their products. So, yeah, they make it, they
Would
hand
you
make it.
ever
It's not like,
like? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
no,
thought
no,
you were
no, no.
done.
No, no. I mean, they do it and they do it, by themselves. Like I said, they make it. They don't buy the stuff pre-made or anything. Just slap their name on it. So,
So would you ever consider an approach like that, where you purchase from them and then you brand it all like Mop Pop Fishing, and then you put it in like some physical retail stores, or is that not even on the agenda for you?
honestly, it's not in my agenda, and the reason being because I just don't. I the thing is, retail stores, I just don't see it being a huge profitable thing in the future. I mean,
Hmm.
I think COVID just accelerated that,
Fair point.
and and I think we're all going towards that ways because everybody loves convenience. Because the thing is, people love to buy stuff, have it shipped to their house. They don't have to deal talking with people. They don't have to deal with salespeople. They just want to get what they want, and it's right, and it literally can come to their doorstep within a day or two, and they don't have to worry about that. So, I think that's where it's going. In regards to me or ever creating my own products or whatever. No, I'm not detailed enough. Honestly, I really wanted to. It was something that I really wanted to, and then I found out what it takes to create. Make your own pole, and the detailedness that's just not my forte at all. I'm like, you know what? I can help talk. I can help market my vendors and everything, but in regards to creating the products that they do, not even close. That's not my thing, but I love using their products, don't get me wrong. In regards to taking their products and then putting my name and then marketing it, um you know it crossed my mind, but the thing is, I want them to grow. I want these small vendors of mine to be successful and grow and be big. If they can be nationwide, it'd be so cool to say that I had a part in that. I think that's just kind of it would be cool to me, and that, I guess you can say.
I love it. That's a breath of fresh air from what I'm used to hearing when people
Yeah,
talk
'cause,
about business. It's awesome.
I mean, but that's the thing. There's no right or wrong way in regards to run your business, because some
Hey,
people,
fair.
and that's because their goal is going to be completely different from my goal, and their definition of success or whatever they want to do is going to be different from mine. And for me, if my vendors are successful, then I feel that I'm successful. For others, it's the bottom line. If I can have $2 million in sales, I'm successful, So, and to his, to her, that's their own, you know what I mean? So that's, every business is different. Don't compare yourself. That's what I'll tell everybody. Don't compare yourself to any other business. Just run with what you got and what you know and what makes you happy.
So I was actually going to ask you this later on, but since you brought it up, you asked me on your podcast what my definition of success was, and I wanted to get a
Mm-hmm.
chance to ask you, like, what is your definition of success, both personally, like as an entrepreneur, and then also for each of your businesses and endeavors.
Yeah. Personally, as an entrepreneur, I would say my definition of success would have to be my happiness in regards to time. And when I say that, I want to be happy, but I also want to be happy with the amount of time that I put into my business and also with my family time. So I have to be. I still am learning in regards to how much time you can split in a day. You only got 24 hours, so, and then you sleep a lot of it too. You know what I mean? So I try. It's one of those things. So I would say personally, happiness is once I can figure out the balance. And also just happiness, man. That's definitely a big thing. In regards to my business and podcast, I would say I started this thing with zero customers. I started this thing with zero listeners, and to me, I my success for each individual entity is, I would say it changes daily, or I would actually say changes more monthly. So like this month, maybe I want this amount of downloads, or reach this amount of customer base. So I change my success. I would consider as my goals almost in the same boat for the business aspect, and I usually change them because if you keep them the same, in my opinion, it becomes boring and monotonous, and then you
Mm-hmm.
get to the point where, and then sometimes you don't even reach it. Then what? Then what? You know what I'm saying? If you don't reach it, do you just quit? No. So what I usually do is I try to set goals as my success. So, and it always changes, whether it's monthly, yearly. I always have some type of vision that I want to strive to get, and it changes because COVID comes. So what now? So you have to be able to change and adapt to that.
Fair enough. So you mentioned that your goals as an entrepreneur was to have like a lot of time, time management that makes you happy. You can tell me if I butchered that, but that was essentially what I got. Like you want to make sure that you have time to be a human and to run your business.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, you have these goals for your business that will allow you to achieve that. Am I understanding that correctly? Like, I guess,
You mean okay? So
did you
the
start the
definition of
business in
success?
order to achieve those goals?
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
So no. So the definition of success for me personally is that if I am I successful, I would consider myself successful if I can, like you were just saying, if I can split my times okay with my personal life and my business life, that would be success because that creates happiness. And then in the business aspect, I set my goals. I set my successful goals. I guess you say monthly and yearly for each entity, whether it's my podcast or my e-commerce business. And like I said, it's a fluid goal because you have to change it, and then if I reach it, then obviously I feel that's successful in that sense.
So why did you become an entrepreneur?
Good question. I think it's in your DNA, and when I say that is because and also the way you're kind of raised. I mean, I really believe I never knew I wanted to start my business, but I always wanted to. I've always had ideas. Um, did I never moved forward, I guess you can say, until just recent past couple of years. But the thing is, my father, my parents, they were entrepreneurs. My father, when I'm a second generation immigrant. So when my father and my mother and all my family moved to moved to the United States back in the mid '70s. I mean, they didn't speak a lick of English, but yet they were able to make something of themselves and own businesses. And my father was able to do that. And as I was a young child, my father, I never knew what he installed in me, but he used to own motels and everything because he saved enough money when they first came to America, and they were able to finally open up their own business or purchase their own business. My father was, and my mother, and it was owning motels, right? And when I was young, I want to say I was maybe 10, 8, between the ages of 8 to 12 ish. My father would have me run all the soda machines. So, you go to hotels or motels, what do they have? They have pop machines, right? Soda machines. So I would be the person, I would refill them, get the money, count all the money. Same thing with the candy machines. So those were the little things that my father would install in me, like, okay. And then he would actually give me a portion of whatever cut for my work and all that stuff. So, and it was kind of cool because I never realized it, but those were the little things that he was installing me in regards to working. Okay, this is the cost of the candy bar. This is the cost of the soda pop, and this is what we sell it for. So this is the net, the profit type thing. I never knew. I was young, I was like, how old was I? Like 10 years old, you know what I'm saying? So,
Sure.
and he just, little things like that. He never pushed it on me, but it was kind of cool. It was really educational for me. So I would say that was kind of the beginning of me wanting to, ever wanting to run my own business, was just seeing how my dad, God rest his soul when he passed away, but he was always always having new things running in his mind, new ideas of wanting to do, uh, own his own business and become successful in that sense. So I think that way it's genetic, but also just kind of the way you're raised. It wasn't just like I woke up one day, it's just like, hey, let's just start your own business type of thing. But I think I just always felt that something was missing until I finally started this. I don't know if that makes sense though, but
Sure. What do you think gave you like the final shove? Because that obviously didn't happen right away. It happened, a couple decades later.
um, I think this is the craziest thing, but I had my fourth daughter at okay, so my wife became pregnant last year, and I still had this with our fourth daughter, and I was just like, man, I wanted to have something that I can, whether I can pass it along to my children, my daughters or not, or I wanted to be able to show them that you don't have to do the normal, go to, school, work 9 to 5 jobs. If you want to own and run your own business and have the freedom to do that, I wanted to be able to show them that you can do that. So I wanted it in a way, I wanted to kind of be a role model in that sense, that if they ever wanted to do something like this, they can and be successful at that. So I would say probably when my wife was pregnant with my fourth daughter, I was like, all right, this is it. I got to do something for them, because hopefully I could build something, and whether successful or not, but they can see that you can do something, in regards to starting your own business, and be happy about that, and be something that you're passionate about. So that was my goal. That was my tipping stone, was to hopefully I can build something for my daughters, whether to pass it on or to at least show them a route that they can take, if they ever wanted to do in the future in their life.
What were some of the challenges that you faced when you were getting started initially? Like, I imagine there are some real hurdles you have to overcome when you're trying to start a company like yours.
Yeah, social media, man. I'm not a big social
Really,
media.
that was the challenge?
Yeah, I'm not a huge social
Huh.
media guy. I was not big on it. I was just like, gosh, but I knew for any business to survive and thrive, you got to have a presence. So I would say that was probably the biggest hurdle, was getting over the fact that I'm gonna have to be the face of the business, of the company. I'm gonna have to, like you're saying, I have to do podcasting. I'm gonna have to be a YouTuber. I'm gonna have to be on Instagram. I have to show Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. So that was my biggest hurdle, was to getting over the fact that, okay, I got to be in front of the camera, I got to be behind the mic type of thing, and then be okay with that. And then on top of that, I just think that also, it's just because there's so many of them. So I would say it's just finding time to how to do them all and create new content for each individual one. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Believe me,
Yeah.
I get it. It's a pain.
Yeah.
But it's
It
fun
is.
too. What,
It's
would you have
yes.
a favorite platform?
Um, shoot. I would have to say, man, that's a tough question. The reason being is because I think Instagram is so easy. I wouldn't say that's my favorite, but it's just easier because, okay, you can take a picture, you can do a quick video, and you can post it onto their stories. You
Yeah.
can post it up all the time, and then you connect it to Facebook. So it's obviously simplified in that sense. So I would say that's probably the easiest, because you can get two birds with one stone, and there's a lot of eyes. You know what I'm saying? So you can definitely market yourself there. But I think the most fun, I would have to say, is probably YouTube. Even though I mean, the last time I checked,
Huh.
I only got like 100 followers currently on my pop fishing. But the reason why I say that's fun is because I never realized. Okay, so the editing of the videos and stuff that I record, whether I'm doing interviews or whether I'm doing product demonstration, it is a pain in the ass. But it was one of those things where I learned on my own. I had to figure it out for myself, going to YouTube and learning from others, and just and Googling, right? But it was actually kind of fun to edit your videos. You can kind of bring your vision to life, I guess you can say. And then also just doing our podcast that we could do on YouTube, it was kind of cool to kind of see that come to life. And I would say that was probably the one I like to do the most. Is actually fun, but I think it's the hardest to grow, if you ask me, because I
Huh.
think YouTube is because there's so many channels and there's just so much of it right now. It's very difficult for that to grow. But as long as you keep grinding, it's still growing. So I guess, you know what I mean?
Love it.
Yeah.
Is there a specific skill set or characteristic that you're trying to develop as an entrepreneur right now? Like, do you have a specific area that you're trying to focus on? I know everyone's always working on everything, but do you feel like there's a specific part of your journey that you're on now?
Yeah, I mean, I think if every entrepreneur can get better at no matter what. There's nobody who's perfect. Nobody's that good at everything, and even the best entrepreneurs will tell you that they're learning or trying to get better at something every day. I think organization. I'm still working on that. When I say organization, is that whether it's time management or what's more important than another. I guess is probably you can say, because sometimes I feel like if I'm working on social media, how I'm focusing way too much time on that or not. And then I kind of think, okay, so do I need to focus more on the product? It's just deeming what is more important at the moment. I think that's one of the things that I'm trying to get better at. And this is the thing, any entrepreneur, if you're going to become an entrepreneur, the biggest thing, or a small business owner, is you're going to have to dedicate time and effort. Everybody says the word, what is it? The grind, the hustle, and all that shit. It's the same it's the same concept. You have to dedicate yourself. Like I said, I did not know how to edit a video, man. When I first started this, I didn't know how to do any podcasting shit. I didn't know how to sell, fishing website. That's not my forte. It was not. I mean, I was great in regards to sales. I was good at my other job doing supply chain now. But when it comes to all this other stuff, running a business, I was not good at. But I dedicated the time to learn, stayed up very late at night at the beginning, for sure. I still am at times, to learn editing aspects, or to learn what kind of marketing materials that I need to create, or what kind of demographics I need to target and all that stuff. So it's just you have to dedicate yourself. I mean, it's true. The hustle and the grind. There's a reason why they keep saying that. That's what all entrepreneurs do. So you have to do that.
You're a serious hustler, though. Like, you came out of the gate with a store, with a full-time job, and 4 kids, and 2 podcasts. Like, you're really doing it. You're not half doing anything.
It's so yeah, it's pretty insane. My wife says you're freaking stupid, and it's insanity. But I think this is the thing. I think I told you this too, but every entrepreneur embraces chaos. You got to embrace chaos. That's the thing. I think entrepreneurs, you got to embrace that chaos a little bit, somewhat, because I mean, we put out fires, we figure out solutions. There's always something that needs to be fixed or get better at. So we embrace that. And then, like I said, like you said, I have 4 daughters. Yeah, they're all 7 and under. I have a newborn almost, and I got a full-time job that I help, work supply chain for hospitals here. And during this whole pandemic, you can imagine how insane that is. And then 2 podcasts, and then and then you got this e-commerce business. I'm like, but you know what? It's okay. You have to embrace it, I think, because you only live once. Like I always say, you don't want to grow 90 years old, 85 years old, and say, like, shit, I wish I would have done that. So that's why I did it. I hope it's successful. I hope it keeps growing. If it doesn't, I don't have to go to my grave thinking that, what if? And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing I don't want is regret. And that's the one thing I do not want.
Do you think that your job in supply chain has prepared you to be an entrepreneur, or your career up to this point has prepared you to be an entrepreneur, or are they completely disjointed?
100% it did. And I say that because I did over almost 20 odd years in sales. And then I decided to jump onto the other side. I wanted to be in supply chain and learn that industry. I didn't know I was going to become an entrepreneur, start my own business at the time, but I flipped it because I was like, you know what? I might as well learn the aspect of supply chain, the buyer side. So I learned that side in the past, I don't know, 7 years now. So I learned that side, and it definitely helped me in regards to talking to people, talking with vendors. It definitely gave me a way to empathize, whether it's from the buyer side or the seller side, so I can understand both sides. So I think it definitely helped me in that sense, because now I can understand where they're coming from as a, if they're selling to me, I can understand where they're coming from. They're buying my stuff, so I can totally understand that. So I definitely think that side of my career has definitely helped in regards to running my business and just starting it, at least coming up with ideas for sure. I think it has for sure.
Did you immediately jump to the idea of custom fishing products, or did you toy around with some other ideas first?
I toyed around with a few other ideas, which it's still up there in the brain, that if I ever want to expand my brand. And when I say my brand, it's the Mop Pop brand. Um, the custom fishing is because, you know what, my thoughts were when I said, if I'm going to start my own business, I might as well start something I'm passionate about. Because if I'm passionate about it, it's not work. Then it's just something I love, and I can put my whole effort into it, whether it fails or whether it succeeds, and still love it. So I was like, you know what, I got to do something I love. And there was a couple other things it's still up in the air, like I said, but fishing is just one of those things, man. I just love it, and just to be in I'm not great at it. That's the craziest thing, is like, people think, no, I'm not great at it, but I just love it. And just being in the industry and just talking to all these people, and then the people I've met through this whole time, it's been a blast. So that's why I said it's not really work if you're truly passionate about it.
So when you talk about like expanding Mop Pop fishing, is that process is that like bringing on more vendors? Is that what you mean by that?
We're always bringing on more new vendors. I mean, I want to say in the past 2.5, 3 months, I mean, I added 2 new vendors.
Wow.
We're always looking to add more, but I don't want to get to the point where just sure, everybody just throw in your stuff. I do want quality. I actually have to check out the stuff and make sure it's quality stuff, and then make sure that people, the public will number one, use it. Number two, is it something that will fit their needs and their wants. So, but yeah, I mean, I would love to grow it. Like I said, to the point where one of my vendors can be full-time. They do it full-time. They don't do anything else. And they can go off on their own and just do that. I mean, that would be my goal. And then for us to keep growing, Mop Pop Fishing, for us to keep growing and just I want to be the forefront of a distributor for small vendors, for custom fishing vendors. I don't want to be those huge box stores or anything, because I think that takes away from the vision that I had for Mop Pop Fishing.
Do you have any like books you're reading, anything, like any podcasts you listen to, any gurus that like you kind of look up to on your entrepreneurial journey?
Love that. I don't read books. The reason is not a bad thing. And because I have one of my best friends that I've known since, however long, like my 40 years of life. And I've known him all my whole life, and he reads books. And he's he's a great successful entrepreneur in real estate. But he continues to read all the time, and he's gained so much knowledge on that. So I can't knock on that. The reason why I don't read, it has nothing to do with I don't believe in it. What I do feel is that when I read somebody's book or a entrepreneur book or anything like that, I feel like then I'm going to compare my journey to their journey. So I don't know if it's quite fair to myself or to the book that I'm reading, and I don't want to take whether it's you know what I'm saying. I'm living my own book in a way, and that's how I kind of feel. I create my own chapters. But what I do is I definitely do listen to other podcasts, some other business podcasts locally here in Iowa. I do a lot of YouTube and Google of reading blogs here and there. I think that helps a lot to learn about, what's going on in this day and age. But I really think that entrepreneurs, the best way to learn is just to jump into the fire yourself. You can read all these books. People can tell you a billion things. But it's not, I would say like 99% of the time you read that stuff, it has nothing to do with your industry or nothing to do with your business that you're trying to do. You might be able to pick, you can pick their minds. You can ask them that. And that's the biggest thing. So that's why I did my podcast on that, Max, was because instead of reading books, I literally do a podcast about entrepreneurs and I learn from them. And that is my reading, honestly. I do my own
That's
podcast.
so much better.
It is so much better. And number one is I network because then I get to meet people like yourself, who I think has a great mind and a great vision, and just learning little tidbits from you and then others. And I think it's the coolest thing ever, man. I think my podcast
It's super
is
fun.
it is. And at the end of the day, if I never monetize it, it's okay with me because I just gain probably a wealth full of knowledge that nobody can ever do by doing my podcast. And that's why that's the biggest thing I've done. So I would say do podcasting because you learn so much, man.
It's super true. Super true. I got one more question for you, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
Your business podcast, Unfiltered Mop Pop. We've talked about this already. It's like very casual. It's unfiltered, like you said. It's not for kids. There's like when I was about to get on, you messaged me and you're like, "Hey Max, like grab a beer before we start talking. Let's like just have a casual conversation." Yeah. So I loved that. I thought it was super creative. How'd you get the idea to? That's like the opposite of a business podcast. Like, how did you come up with that idea? I love it.
Okay, because it's me. So when I say that, I mean, if you can talk to any of my friends, you can talk to any of my family members, you can ask my wife. Like, I have important conversations with people all the time, but I love having a good time. And whether you don't have to have alcohol or anything like that, but I just tend to do that. And the reason being is just I can be myself and others can be okay. And I want, during my podcast, I want them to be relaxed. So there's so many podcasts out there on businesses, there are millions of them, but they're all, ask this. It's just, there's no, what's your story? Like, you're going through what I'm going through, like, be real. And I think when you have a beer, you have a drink, and you just have a conversation, it's fun, but yet it's informative at the same time. And that was my whole point, was that if I'm going to do a podcast, I better be doing it, and I better be as real I am to myself, because I don't want to have to put on a show. So when I'm recording, and if anybody listens to it or watches it, I don't want it to be, that I'm faking it. That's just me. And I think people will, number one, embrace that. Number two, I think a lot more people can relate to others when they're as real as me. And that's what I'm hoping my podcast is, that it's real, just their journey. If you can pick up one thing from them, great. Hopefully you grabbed the beer and had a good time listening to the podcast, watching it or whatnot, and actually gain something that you can use for your business journey.
I think I couldn't agree more. Like, when I was on your show, that's what it felt like, right? It felt like we were just being ourselves on camera. It's awesome. It's something as a new podcast host, I learned a lot from being on your show. Cool. And it was, cool. I think, so I definitely learned something from being with you. I know your goal was for you to learn something, but I did.
No. And I mean, that's the thing, man. And that's the cool thing about podcasting. I'm glad that you're embracing that. And then, like I say, once your listeners and others that listen, I'm telling you guys, small business, don't miss the train. Jump on the podcast, start your own podcast, talk to people, network, because it's a great opportunity to gain content. Number one. Number two, it's just the knowledge, man. It's amazing.
Grandy, you're awesome. You're a great speaker. You're a hustler. It's awesome to speak with you. Thanks, where can people find you if they want to learn more?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram, MobPop_80. That's for the Unfiltered Mop Pop Passage. You can follow that on Instagram, or you can just follow Mop Pop Fishing on Instagram. You can, it's all connected to my Facebook, of course. And then just the two websites. I got www.moppopfishing.com, or you can just go to www.unfilteredmoppop.com, and you check out all my podcast episodes, the custom fishing lures and everything. And then, like I said, just search. There's a crazy thing. Just honestly, if you're into podcasts, just search Beer Fish Fanatics. You'll see us pop up, and you'll see us on YouTube, and we're growing, man. I think I talked to a lot of radio guys locally. We actually had a pretty big sports radio guy here, and he's just like, man, you guys are on to something. This is cool, super fun, super informative. So
that's awesome.
Hopefully Beer Fish Fanatics will blow up. I mean, I really hope so, because it's something we truly enjoy. So it's fun.
I believe in it. Everyone, those links are all going to be in the show notes, so you'll have no problems finding them. Grandy, thanks again, man.
No problem. Thanks, Max. Thanks for having me, brother.